Right here? Good idea.
Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2.
Hello, Joe.
Oh, hello. Is
How are
that
you?
Wendy?
Yes,
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Good. Thanks for joining us. I'm sorry I didn't send that invitation sooner. I thought Ralph was going to forward it to everybody on the town council, but I guess we had a miscommunication.
Well, is the second meeting that you're doing, is it going to be basically the same information?
Absolutely the same, yeah.
Okay, all right. If you have like a poster or something you could send me, because I'll put it on my Facebook page to make sure, people will, if they don't make it to this meeting, make it to the next one.
Okay. Yeah, this one is really for, and Thursdays they're really for the people that would be running, from the town or villages standpoint, actually running the campaign. Excuse me. But we do other presentations just on community solar to explain it to residents. I don't know if you know who you had in mind, but just so you know.
Well, there are a lot of questions that come up at the town board meetings,
Right.
and sometimes the questions make it more complicated.
Yes. Oh, tell me about it. I know I mean, community solar is complicated to really grasp, although actually participating in it is quite simple. But between that and community choice aggregation, people
I
often
know.
conflate the two. And, it's opt in, opt out and
I
all that.
know, yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's easy to get lost in, and then you hear all
Yes.
the acronyms and abbreviations. And I
Yep.
tried to make this presentation simple, so you can let me know how I did.
Okay.
So what time is it here? 6:52. I'm gonna get, no, I guess I've got what I need right here. I'm using two monitors tonight and excuse me. It's kind of new for me, a new setup, and I have practiced, but you just never know with technology.
Oh, please. This past month, I cannot tell you how many hours that I have been trying to correct, fix, redo, sign up. It's like crazy,
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. We had a major Wi-Fi problem late last week, and I wasn't getting. I'm in a room that's the furthest away from our router, and it's a small house, so it's not that big. Shouldn't be that big a deal, but I was able to actually kind of reconfigure it a bit based on some suggestions from Verizon, and it seems to be working fine now, but we'll see.
Okay.
I wanted to check. To see how many people.
In the waiting room?
No, I think everybody's coming right in,
Oh, okay.
but no waiting room. I changed that setting, but wanted to see how many people registered.
Hello, Eileen. She's not muted.
No, she was here before me. I think she walked away from her screen.
Oh, okay.
I haven't spoken to her either.
Okay. You know, I always love that saying that Lily Tomlin said, the road to success is always under construction.
Hmm. I don't think I've ever heard that.
And, you know, the thing is that small steps, and that's the way you have to move forward.
Yes,
And you figure out after you've done it, what's working, what's not working. And then you adjust it to accommodate, you know, your needs.
exactly.
So I always felt that that was a reasonable way of explaining things.
Wendy, I just forwarded the invitation.
Okay,
There,
thank you.
you should see an attachment that has the link to register.
Okay,
And
great, thank you.
yeah, I think there might even be a link within the email itself.
Okay. Oh, okay, good, good. Thank you. Yep. It's funny, I have a whole book on the word habit, and it really talks about how difficult it is for people to change things once they get into the habit,
Yes,
you know, to create new habits.
yes, yeah.
Very
Um,
difficult.
yeah, I some students of mine they did a project where they tried to train parents to create the habit of turning off their engines when they pulled into the school parking lot to
Oh,
pick up.
not to idle. Yeah.
Exactly. And they used an app. Um, what was that called? Habit is in the name of the app.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it reminded you, and every time you know, did the habit, you did the act that you wanted to make a habit, you know, kind of marked within the app, and you could connect it to somebody else. So the students had parents take a pledge that they would try to stop idling,
Hmm.
and the results of their, you know, recording on the app would go to the students to a special email address, so that they could prove that they had in fact convinced X number of parents to stop idling. It was a really clever
Hmm.
campaign. They won second place in a Bedford 2020
Hmm.
contest on that.
Are you still teaching?
No, I retired last June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I decided I really wanted to do this full time. And I
Okay.
knew I couldn't do it while I was teaching, that's for sure.
Okay.
And it worked out well in terms of timing as far as the shutdown goes and remote learning. Although I have actually taught online courses outside of my high school for BOCES. So that wasn't a problem, but it's tough not seeing people, you know,
Yeah.
especially students, and students tended not to always show up. So
Hmm.
it was hard. Anyway, um, I've got a habit quote for you. You gave me a Lily Tomlin quote. Here's a Mark Twain quote, another
Okay.
comedian. He said about habits, maybe you've heard this one before, that habits are like unwanted house guests. You can't just kick them out the door. You've got to coax them down the steps one at a time.
That's true. Yep.
It was a very apt explanation of habits. Anyway, I see some other folks coming in,
Yep.
which is great. And it's just 7 o'clock. So welcome, everybody. Good to see you. We'll be getting started in just.
Hello, Joe.
Hi, Carla. How are you?
Good. How are you? Nice to
Good.
see you.
Good to see you too. We do have, I was correct in my estimate. I think there's about a dozen people registered for tonight.
Okay,
We'll see, you know, in my experience, about 50% of the people who register actually come into a Zoom. But
how long is the presentation?
Depends on questions and answers.
Okay.
But my presentation is about 45 minutes.
Okay,
Hi, Eleanor.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Karina.
Hi. Hello. Hi, Eleanor. Hi, Corinna. How are you? Doing pretty well. How are you? Congratulations on your new job.
Thank you.
Yeah, we haven't met before, so it's good to see a face connected to the name.
Yeah.
Welcome. And thank you for being here too. You know, I was joking that there might be more. I might have more experts here on the panel than I have guests in the meeting, but that's okay. Hello, Eileen.
Absolutely. Always okay.
And it is recording, so I'll of course cut out the beginning part here, but I will have the recording available for folks that missed it or you know, just want to review the brilliant things that they hear tonight.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
Good. Have you been out in the garden?
Of course.
Yes. I have not been able to get out there. I've got, I think you saw my post about being to 4 different plant sales. I still have shrubs I have to dig in.
Well, I have a lot to put in as well.
Okay, I'm not alone then.
No, we have a little time, not much.
Good. Hey, Pete.
Hey, Joe. Hi,
Uh,
everybody.
Hi, Pete.
Hey, Eileen, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Fantastic. It's a
This
good
weather
day.
helps.
Oh my gosh. Plus, we're above ground and we're breathing, so it's an awesome
Yeah.
day.
I've actually got a mosquito buzzing around here in my office.
Yeah, I got my first mosquito bite. We had a parade.
Oh, my. I've evaded them so far. All right, so Pete, I just made you co-host, and if you could just keep an eye on the chat, and I actually have 2 pauses in between sections for questions, but if something comes up that's a quick, easy answer, just feel free to interrupt me. All right, thanks. So just give 1 more minute. Looks like a couple more people are coming in right now. Hey, Bonnie.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Bonnie.
hello.
Hello.
Hi, Wendy.
Hello, Eileen. Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Once in a while we get together. Yeah.
I know.
Mine is
All right.
here somewhere.
Yes. Hi, Ina.
Hello.
Can't see you. Oh, there you are.
Welcome. All right. So I'm dealing with 2 monitors here and I'm trying to find my cursor. Okay,
Hi, Joe.
I think I got it. Hello, how are you?
How are you?
Good. I don't know if you remember, but I met you at the NYSERDA conference years ago, right? Have you been to a NYSERDA conference or am I
Every year. every year.
Yeah, okay.
Every year.
So I
Definitely.
remember you from like, I think the first conference you went to, and because I distinctly remember your name, of course, is very distinct. And I had never heard of Roaring Brook Lake before. So it all stuck in my head. Anyway, good to see you again.
Well, good to see you again.
All right, so we're going to get started, and I am going to share my screen. I think this is the right one.
Hi, Wendy.
Hello, Ina.
Okay. Does everybody see my introducing Solarize Putnam?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Okay, great. So I am recording. I'm going to cut out what just preceded from the recording, but I am recording so that folks who missed this or folks that like reruns can enjoy it again a second time. So welcome again. I'm Joe Montori of Sustainable Putnam, and I'm going to be hosting the presentation tonight. I've got a lot of assistance from some great experts we're really fortunate to have with us tonight. And I'm gonna share our agenda here. So starting with introductions, we'll go on to the goals of Solarize Putnam, what that's about, and what is community solar to begin with, a kind of brief explanation of what it is. And then at that point, I'm going to pause and see if we have questions and answers. And I'll be probably tapping some of our experts to help me out there. And then, I'll explain what the NYSERDA Clean Energy Community Campaign is and how that operates, and why it's a good thing to do, why you might be interested in it. Again, we'll pause for questions and answers. Although if you have questions at any point, please just type them in the chat. Pete Elder, who is another Sustainable Putnam Steering Committee member, he will be watching that and stop me if there's something that I can answer quickly. Otherwise, he'll help me work through the questions when we get to that Q&A section. And then at the end of the presentation, I'm going to introduce another community campaign option that's called Clean Heating and Cooling. And we have with us Bonnie Hagan tonight, who runs the Putnam Clean Heating and Cooling campaign. So there's an opportunity to run one or the other campaign, or two. And it's actually easier to run two at once. So that's something else that we'll talk about later. Excuse me. So I'll start with introductions. As I mentioned, we have with us tonight Carla Castillo and Eleanor Peck from Hudson Valley Regional Council out of Kingston, New York, and they are our NYSERDA, New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, Clean Energy Campaign experts. That's a mouthful. And they know their stuff, and they're here to not only assist me tonight, but they're here to assist you if you choose to do a campaign. And they are a great resource who I have tapped in the past, and they are available and at hand by a Zoom meeting or email or phone. We also have with us, as I mentioned, Bonnie Hagan from the Putnam Clean Heating and Cooling Campaign, and Karina Ricard-Fazan from Champion Renewable Energy. And that is the community solar company, the only community solar company that has been selected at this point by Sustainable Putnam as a reputable, trustworthy provider for community solar that also has made a very generous offer to Putnam County residents and municipalities in terms of the discount and referral bonuses and so on. And in addition, I want to mention that Karina lives here in Putnam County. So that's, kind of an extra plus. She knows our county. She knows Sustainable Putnam. She's attended our meetings. We've worked with her before. Sustainable Putnam actually has a referral program with them now and has had for months now. But we did have a committee that looked at, we had 2 offers so far from 2 different companies, and Ampion was really the only one that kind of met the bar. And there were people outside of Sustainable Putnam on the committee too. I'll just mention, and I can give you more information about that process in the Q&A if you'd like. Okay. I'm not sure if Colin Atkins is here. He might, I think maybe he registered for the Thursday meeting, but Colin Atkins is another resource for us. He is a Cornell Cooperative Extension Community Energy Advisor. And he was also my teacher as a Cornell Cooperative Extension Energy Navigator student. I've gotten trained, I got a certificate as a trained energy navigator, which basically means, I know more about home heating and cooling systems, insulation, weather sealing, and the like. And I can do audits and such. But he's another resource available to all of us. And so that leaves me, I think. I am Joe Montori. I'm the, of Sustainable Putnam. I helped to found Sustainable Putnam back in February 2020 at Mahopac Library. And I'm a retired social studies teacher. I retired just last June. And I'm also a secretary of the Mahopac Public Library Board of Trustees. So that's that. And Sustainable Putnam, I'm going to introduce the organization. There's our mission statement. Our mission is admittedly broad and ambitious, but if you don't have ambitious goals, then what's the point, right? And even though they are broad and ambitious, we're optimistic because we really believe that the power of community and working together can do tremendous good for our towns and villages and our county. And we've already seen that. I'm sure you wouldn't be here if you didn't agree with that. None of us are getting paid to be here tonight. We're here because we believe in this issue and we believe in this effort. Check out our website at sustainableputnam.org if you haven't already. There's some changes there, some new tools and resources available, and it's changing all the time. So what is or who is involved in Solarize Putnam? I've pretty much probably already kind of indicated this. It is Sustainable Putnam. We are promoting this effort. Hudson Valley Regional Council, Clean Energy Coordinators, Carla and Eleanor. Ampion Renewable Energy, of course, is involved. And I want to mention that while they are a corporation and they are interested in making a profit, they're interested in more than a profit because they're a public benefit corporation, which means they are legally required to also give back to the community. And they've proven that to us. And that was another factor in selecting them. And you, right? You are involved in this. And we hope all of you decide to move forward and embrace this program in your community. So the goals of Solarize Putnam are pretty straightforward. Basically, we want to assist our municipalities, our villages, towns, and the county government itself in promoting community solar. We believe in that strongly. We think there's a lot of upsides to it and virtually no downside to participating in this program. It'll save our residents money on their electric bills, lower their living expenses, and it'll provide our municipalities with potential potential grant money as well as referral bonuses from Ampion Renewable Energy. And, maybe even more important than that is that if you're successful, your town will be designated in this campaign and other campaigns. So this campaign alone will not give you clean energy community designation, but it's its first step. And your town may have actually taken other steps that count towards clean energy community designation. For example, in my town, they've replaced most of the street lamps with LED street lamps, right? Light emitting diode, high efficiency street lamps. They get points for that, even though they've already done it. So there's other things that towns have already done that might count. And I think that, establishing yourself as a clean energy community is really a credit to the town. And I think it could do good things for the town. I'll talk more about what I mean by that later on. So, why participate? We already talked about the money saving factor can potentially lower your municipality's electric expenses because the municipality itself can join community solar, can subscribe to it. There's some limitations to that, depends on the size of the building and so forth, but a lot of municipalities have several buildings. So some of those buildings, it actually might be doable. It cuts greenhouse gases, right? And that's a key concern, I think, of most of us today. It's going to help to reverse global warming in the long run and fight climate change. It also creates jobs in our region. Depending on where the solar farm is, they're all going to be in New York State and in New York State electric and gas territory, if that's your utility, or Central Hudson territory, if that's your utility. But it also will build your municipality's image, right? I mean, imagine being designated a clean energy community. I can imagine realtors playing that up. I can imagine businesses being attracted to our towns as a result of that. And I think it says you care. If you are involved in this effort, I think you are telling your community that, you're thinking big and you're thinking about them and you're trying to do something good for them, right? You're being proactive as a community leader. It's like a feather in your cap. So I want to do a real quick comparison in terms of solar for people that aren't familiar with community solar. Everybody's heard of installing solar panels on a roof. I think everybody's seen that by now. Community solar is quite different. And so I want to draw a quick comparison between the two. There's nothing wrong with installing solar panels. I've done it. I had it done last year after a long process of trying to figure it out. I mentioned to somebody earlier today that I had been getting estimates on getting panels installed on my house for over 20 years. One day my kids came home, they got off the school bus, they were like, kindergarten, second, third grade, and they were walking up to the door and I yelled to them from the roof and they were like, "Hey, I'm up here." And they were like, "Oh, what's Dad doing on the roof?" And I was up there with a solar contractor, doing measurements. Anyway, it's taken this long. I finally did it. And I'm really glad I did. There's a great return on my investment. I'm going to have, relatively about 50% of my electricity will be completely free after I've paid for the system. That takes about 7 to 9 years for most folks. It's increased my home value. Yeah, I think it's a great investment if you've got the money. And that's the problem with installing solar panels. Most people don't have the money. Maybe they can't borrow it. Leasing is not as good a deal as buying. And a lot of people have shading problems, especially here in Putnam County, right? We've got a lot of trees. We love them. We're not going to cut them down to put up solar panels. And it requires a lot of work. I spent a lot of time figuring this out and researching and getting different estimates and comparing them and so forth. It's complicated. It's a good thing, but many people are not going to do it. Community solar, on the other hand, is much more straightforward. Doesn't require a lot of research. It's pretty simple. You could do it tomorrow if you wanted to, if you chose to. It's that easy. It's definitely going to lower your electric bills up to 10%. That's, pretty much a given. And, there's no upfront costs, there's no installation, no construction, etc. Because you're basically using solar electricity generated somewhere else and you're paying for that. That's it. In terms of the downsides, the cons, well, okay. A lot of people don't know what it is and they're confused by it. That's one, and I think that's basically just a lack of information out there. And there's a lot of companies to choose from. And when there's too many choices, any salesperson will tell you this, when there's too many choices, people just don't make a decision, right? So I'm sure you've gotten as many mailers as I have about community solar, and it's kind of like, I don't know which one to choose, or I don't know if any of them are legitimate, right? This initiative, Solarize Putnam, cuts through that problem because we have vetted a provider, right? We've checked them out and we're telling people, Sustainable Putnam is telling people, this is a good provider. They're reputable. They stand behind their service, and you're going to get a really good deal from them. So I want to show you a quick video that gives you kind of the elevator pitch on like how it works, and then we'll go kind of do more of a deep dive. See if I can get this video going here.
The future of clean energy in New York State is brighter than ever before. Communities across New York are now getting access to solar energy through community solar. They're saving on electricity bills, reducing their carbon footprints, and stimulating their local economy. How does community solar work? The process is actually quite simple. Solar panels are installed at a site in your community. Depending on the community solar project size, dozens or even hundreds of community members can subscribe to a single project. Clean energy generated from the site is then fed into the local power grid. You continue to get electricity from your utility without having to install solar panels on your roof or property. You receive your share of solar credits through your utility, which will lower your monthly electricity bill. What about billing? Will anything change? You'll continue to receive your monthly electricity bill from your utility. As a subscriber to a community solar project, the solar energy that your share produces will appear as credits, lowering your monthly electricity bill. In most cases, you'll receive a separate bill from the solar developer. The credits on your electricity bill will cover the cost of the developer's bill, meaning you'll be paying less than you normally would for electricity. In summer months, the panels generate more electricity, so you will earn more credits. Any unused credits you have at the end of the month will roll over into the following month. When an entire community stands behind clean energy, some pretty amazing power can get generated. Find a community solar project near you by visiting nyserda.ny.gov/findcommunitysolar.
Okay.
The future of clean energy.
Okay, so yeah, very basic, cute video. Here's more of the deep dive on how community solar works. Basically, if your town decides to participate, your town would get its own landing page, right? Its own web page that is put up there by Ampion, but it has your town name on it. In fact, here's such a landing page from Ampion and the town of Ballston in upstate New York. It'll look very much like this. Person puts in their email address, their zip code to make sure that they're in the right, utility for this program. And then the application process goes on from there, and Karina can tell us more about that later on. Ampion then determines by looking at your past electric bills, how much electricity they estimate you use in a year. And then they allocate a certain number of solar panels in their solar farm for you, right? And then nobody else can subscribe to those solar panels per se. And then once it fills up, that's it. No more subscribers for that particular farm. Fortunately, Ampion has plenty of capacity right now in our territory, so it shouldn't be a problem. It would be a great problem to have, though, if we used up all of their capacity. And then you get your electricity just like normal. Nothing really changes. There's no new wires attached to your house or anything like that. You still get your utility bill. And Ampion now has net crediting, which means that you have one bill. You're not going to get a separate bill from Ampion and your utility. You just get your bill from your utility with your discount, your discounted credits. That's huge because I don't know about you, but I do not like dealing with multiple bills. And that's no longer a problem with Ampion's arrangements with New York State Electric and Gas. The solar credits that you get, you pay 10% less than you would be paying if you just were getting your electricity from your utility, right? So actually, let me just jump to this illustration. Looking at the panel on the right, I've got a little example there of, $100 of electricity used. You're only going to pay $90 for that once you're enrolled in community solar. The utility has a basic service charge. I don't know about you, if you've ever looked at your utility bill closely, but there's a basic service charge. Mine is $17. In this example, it's $20. That's going to stay the same, right? So in this example, lost my cursor. Ding. Your bill would instead of $120, you'd be paying $110. Okay. So I'm going to pause here. Actually, sorry, there's one more slide to show you. And I didn't point out the up to 10%. There's a couple of reasons why, and Karina, maybe you can jump in when we do our Q&A here. There's a couple of reasons why it might not be 10%. One is there's a seasonal variation in terms of how much sun there is, right? In winter, there's less. If we have exceptionally cloudy weather, you might not get as many credits as you had originally thought you would. And your electric usage could change, right? You could get air conditioning or an electric car, or suddenly your usage goes up and the estimate of your usage doesn't match what you're actually using. So you're not getting as many credits as you're actually using. So those are a couple of factors. One more slide before our Q&A. I also wanted to mention that for low-income residents, and this is separate from Ampion's community solar, New York State offers community solar for low-income residents who might not qualify for community solar through a commercial provider. It's called Solar for All. You have to meet a certain income level, 60% of the median income in New York State, and that the chart there shows you what that looks like for different size families. But you'll save $5 to $15 a month through the Solar for All program. And that's something that I would like our municipalities to promote as well, right? So this is not just about those of us in the know and those of us, with significant electric bills. Is for everybody. Solar for All is it's a great program that New York State offers. We're really fortunate to be living in New York State. I know not too many people say that very often, but we've got great renewable energy programs in New York State. We are leaders in the nation. So with that, questions and answers. Pete, are there questions already in the chat? Or does
No
anybody
question,
just
no questions in the chat.
Okay, anybody want to just unmute and ask a question? Darn, I'm good.
So I'll ask a question.
Okay.
So if you're if Ampian or whatever company we go with, we have a certain number of people in Putnam Valley who sign up, and then we get assigned a certain number of solar panels. And then afterwards, either more or less, either people drop out or more people join. Do we still keep that same number of solar panels?
Good question. The panels are allocated per customer. So if a customer drops out, those panels are not allocated. They're not allocated to your town. They're allocated to the individual.
Okay.
And so the town, that kind of raises another point, I think, in that the town is not really involved directly in that transaction. It's the individual who subscribes. The only connection with the town is that the town has promoted it, and the town receives with Ampian, the town would receive a $100 referral fee or bonus, I guess you would call it. And that money is contributed to the town, and usually towns allocate that money to a special fund for, like Ballston, I believe, they're building more sidewalks to make their town more walkable. Another town might use it to install EV chargers or something like that. Yeah, Eileen.
Oh, is that $100 per customer that signs up or?
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah, so if 10 people sign up in Putnam Valley, that's $1,000 that the town of Putnam Valley gets from Ampian.
okay. And
Yeah.
it's as simple as just reaching out and filling out that application and you're on your way?
Yeah, it is. Because I have panels on my roof, I can't subscribe to solar, community solar. That's a restriction in New York State. That's the way the law is set up, because otherwise I'd be kind of double dipping as far as the utility is concerned. So that's where the line is drawn. But Pete has subscribed to community solar. And Pete, maybe, I don't know if you want to say anything about how the process.
It was just extraordinarily easy, and we also got $100 credit, which was, I think, I spent without telling my wife, and yeah, it was great. And as my wife was just sharing in the chat, we had wind power before, and it was a 10% reduction from what we were paying for wind power.
Cool.
That's great. Sounds good.
What happens if there are 1,000 households in a community that want to join community solar? Where would they put a solar farm that could conceivably have 4,000 panels?
Karina, do you want to field that?
Sure. So in all likelihood, it wouldn't be one solar farm. We work with a number of developers across the state. So we have, right now, I think 6 solar farms that are available to NYSEG customers alone. So, that would, I think, as Joe said before, that is a problem that we would love to have. As we fill up farms and new farms are built, it's kind of the best problem to have, right? We fill up a farm, it creates the need to develop a new one. And so that's kind of the way that things have been going thus far as community solar takes off. New farms have been developed. And so far we have not run out of capacity, because that's what keeps happening. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we move on?
And how local are the producers? Is there a requirement in terms of?
They have to be within the territory of New York State Electric and Gas. So that includes, much of upstate. And you can look at a map to see them and where they are. You can go to NYSERDA and look for, search, Google NYSERDA Community Solar, and you can see a map of where these farms are, and zoom in. Most of them are not in the Hudson River Valley. Most of them are in central New York and western New York State. I correct me if I'm wrong, Karina, but that's my perception. I noticed one or two in Dutchess County recently on the map. But most of them are farms that the farmer is, it's mostly dairy farms in New York State, and they're almost perennially struggling, unfortunately. And so some of them have some land that's fallow, and they turn that over to and lease it to a solar farm company. And yeah, usually it's a 20-year contract or something, like 25-year contract or something like that. And then after that point, the panels get removed from the farm.
And if we sign up, the commitment is that it'll be 10% less than whatever NYSEG is charging? Or
I think is that how you would you phrase it that way, Karina? Is that correct?
I would phrase it as it's up to 10% off of the dollar amount. Yes, that appears on your NYSEG bill. So if you receive an average of a $70 NYSEG bill every month, then you can expect that your savings will be about $7 a month. If your bill tends to be about $200 a month, then you can expect that your savings will be around $20 a month.
Again, seasonal variation. Eileen?
So if I were to sign up, is there a specific contract duration? Do I have to commit to a year or 2 years?
Good question. No, not really. You can quit at any time, but because the community solar company has to work with your utility, and I can tell you the utility likes to take its time with these things. I'll tell you stories about my solar panels sometime, and how we had to spend a night in a hotel because they didn't turn our power back on. But anyway, they take about 90 days to actually make the switch. And so if you decide to quit, and I don't know why you would, but if you decided I don't want to participate in this anymore, it would take about 90 days before NYSEG kind of made the switch and you're no longer an Ampion customer.
And conversely, 90 days before it would start up. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, so it takes time for them on their end, not for you.
Okay.
All right, let me move on. I want to talk specifically about clean energy community campaigns and what that means. And that's a NYSERDA term. I mean, anybody can use the term community campaign, but NYSERDA means something very specific about that. And it's basically just a mechanism that NYSERDA came up with to try to bring customers together with providers of clean energy resources and services, because they understood that these are hard changes for people to make, difficult changes, almost like the habits we were talking about earlier, Wendy. It's tough, like buying an electric car. I know a lot of people who love the idea, but they're very hesitant to do it. So NYSERDA has found this community campaign an effective tool to help people along that path. And one of the key elements of that community campaign is involving local community leaders that people know and trust, right? You folks, and hopefully me too. And so in this case with community solar, really our primary job is educating people and assuring them that we've checked this out and we can explain it to you. And, if you believe us, you trust us, we think that this is a good thing to do. And so, this is a little redundant, I guess, but, why do it? The guaranteed savings, that's, key. Your town could earn grant money. And I think I might have already mentioned the $5,000 figure, but there's more money than that available. You can do multiple different community campaigns and earn $5,000 for each one, up to 4, I believe. And there's other grants available in addition that are much larger sums of money. And the more points you earn and the more grants you earn, the higher that sum becomes. Up to, I think like $70,000 for a small town or village. And that's in addition to the 5,000, or maybe 20,000 you've collected for other community campaigns. Then there's a $70,000 grant But I'm going to ask Carla or Eleanor to verify that in a moment. I might have gotten mixed up. Another reason is, again, the clean energy community designation. I think that that's huge. Jobs, right? You're creating jobs in our state, in our region, potentially, even it could be in our county. You're reducing greenhouse gases, and it's almost free for the municipality to run these campaigns. I mean, what does it cost to put up a web page? What does it cost to print a flyer and distribute it at a farmer's market? What does it cost to put out a press release? Nothing, right? So very little cost involved, not a heck of a lot of effort. NYSERDA, Hudson Valley Regional Council, and Sustainable Putnam have done a lot of the legwork for you, and we're here to hold your hand and help you through the process, throughout. So how does it work? Essentially, you fill out an application. NYSERDA calls it a scoping document. I hate that term. It reminds me of educational terminology when I was a teacher, but it's an application. You fill that out. You submit it to NYSERDA. You wait for them to approve it before you do anything else, really, before you do anything official. You can get ready, obviously. And then you promote it. Then once it's approved, you say, hey, announce to your town that you're doing this and you think it's a good idea and you think folks should participate, and here's all the benefits, et cetera, et cetera. After you've done your campaign, you provide evidence that your town participated in the campaign, that you promoted it in some way. And there's some examples of, the ways in which you can provide proof, a news article that got published, a web page that you put up advertising it, promoting it. Maybe you held a publicity event, a launch event, or something like that. Or maybe your town passed a municipal resolution saying, we stand behind this idea, and we think it'll be good for the town. We think it'll be good for our residents. If any one of our towns and villages in Putnam is under 40,000 people, that qualifies in NYSERDA's eyes as a small town or village, and all of our towns qualify in that regard. If we get 10 people to subscribe to community solar, you're considered a success in NYSERDA's eyes. You provide the evidence, they give you the $5,000 action grant. Plus, in the meantime, you've collected the $1,000 or more from Ampion. In the case of Putnam County, it's almost 100,000 people, 97,000, I think. That's more than a small town, so they have to meet a somewhat higher bar, 25 subscribers. But Carla informed me that they get to count all of our town's subscribers as well. Ampion will only count them once and give $100 to the towns, right? If they subscribe through the town's website. But NYSERDA will count them twice, once for the town and once for the county. So for the county, this could be a really easy way to get a grant, and they get a bigger grant. I forget the amount, but is that 15,000, Carla?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So that's it in a nutshell. I know that was really brief. So, but we could really get into the weeds here. Trust me. I've read a lot of NYSERDA documents, and I've listened to a lot of NYSERDA presentations, but I wanted to keep it short and sweet and just, go to the Q&A and see if people have questions so far.
So, go ahead.
I was wondering if I could just touch on the grant award amounts. I wanted to make sure that was clear.
Sure.
So for there are a number of grant awards that may be available that Joe mentioned. And Joe, I want to applaud you for this excellent presentation. You've made something complicated so incredibly simple. So, and thank you. So To become a designated community under the Clean Energy Communities program, you can complete 4 actions. It can be any of the 24 options that are available. And then when that gets completed, there's a $5,000 bucket amount of money available to communities. Now, for the action grants that are related to the community campaigns and the community solar effort that Joe is talking about today, for small and medium-sized communities, it is $5,000. For larger-sized communities, it is $15,000, like the size of the county. Now, in addition to that, if you decide to participate in the Clean Energy Communities program, and Eleanor and I can help you with that, then as you move forward with that, you get points for all these different actions that you complete. And as you get towards certain point thresholds, then there are separate and additional buckets of money. For example, if you reach 3,000 points, it's $10,000. If you reach 4,000 points, it's a $20,000 bucket, and so forth. So there are a lot of really nice opportunities to combine what you're passionate about, what you're interested in, what your constituents may be interested in, and getting financial reward for your community.
Right. And combine what you may have already done too, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
So this goes with the financial reward. So on top of the New York State money, Ampium is giving $100 per household that signs up. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
It's actually, we donate $100 per new enrollment to the town. And then we also provide each new subscriber with a $100 Visa gift card in addition to that.
So
it's
both, they get $100 personally.
Yeah.
And the town gets $100. And
Yes.
let's say that we had 1,000, just, we should be so lucky, but let's say we had 1,000 homes sign up.
I like that number keeps coming up. Go ahead.
Would the Ampian still be giving each homeowner $100, and what would now be $100,000? Is that right?
The only limit, right, is the capacity. So as long as we can assign the new subscriber to a solar farm, then we will continue providing the donations. There's no limit on that.
So we could conceivably have a really sizable grant, a $50,000 grant or 100, depending on how many people sign up. Or you're smiling. That doesn't happen.
I would love to see that happen. That is the ideal, right? And yeah, absolutely.
I think, I've seen, community solar promotions, not by towns, but by organizations like Sustainable Putnam, and they just don't go very far. I think and that's one of the reasons why I got so excited when I heard that Ampian was doing this in upstate New York, and NYSERDA clean energy community campaigns were embracing this, because I think when it's local and there's known people promoting it and explaining it to you, I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, and to give an example, I apologize for interrupting. The town of Ballston, the web page, the landing page that Joe shared as an example, we've been running a community campaign with them for a couple of months now, and so far they have about 50 residents who have subscribed. So it really depends on the level of kind of involvement that the town wants to have. There are a lot of things that we do on our end to kind of help make this outreach possible. We, kind of create in conjunction with you, we create the outreach materials. We can host Zoom meetings just like this. There really is kind of no limit to what we can do. We tailor the campaign and the type of outreach to your community. But we certainly find that the communities that are the most enthusiastic and the most involved have the best results, as you can imagine.
Any other questions?
So, Joe,
Eileen, yes.
so as an individual, I can't just sign up for this. I need to do this through the town of Putnam Valley.
No, you could sign up right now as an individual with Ampian. They'd be happy to have you. But if your town is considering it, I suggest you wait and get your
Yeah.
town another $100.
Yeah.
Actually, Sustainable Putnam created a partnership with Ampian a while back. And, we have links to it on our website. And I did a presentation with Karina, I don't know, a couple months ago. My COVID memory for time is shot, but I think it was a couple months ago. I don't know. Anyway, sometime in the last year, and and they set up a landing page much like the one you saw for Sustainable Putnam,
Okay.
and we had that same deal. But Sustainable Putnam really wants to see community solar spread, solar energy spread, and
Yeah.
there's only so much we can do, but I think towns can have a much bigger impact. If you have your own referral program, I think it'll go a lot further than ours did or has so far.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
here's another question.
Yeah.
On your list of things that we could do to show that the town was supportive of this program was passing a resolution.
Right.
Is that a required part?
no, that was any one of those can be
Okay.
used as evidence. So you don't have to do the resolution. That's just one option. I would say, however, that the more steps you take, the more, of those options you do, the better.
Yeah, the more
because that'll help-
credible it is.
Yeah, that'd help get the word out. But I understand that, resolution is there's a lot of, hesitation. There can be a lot of hesitation regarding resolutions. Carla,
I have no hesitation, but there could be.
yeah,
Or
no, I didn't mean you. Yeah,
Two of us, Ina.
So I just wanted to connect a couple of things with the if any of the municipalities that are present today in this meeting are interested in participating in the community campaign that Joe and Corina are working on, and you're also interested in potentially getting credit through the clean energy communities and getting access to this action grant. I just wanted to make sure that people understood that the scoping document, it's a terrible name, like Joe said. Like, what the heck is a scoping document, right? What it's not even, I wouldn't exactly call it an application. What it is basically a plan. The plan for how you're going to make your community campaign successful.
yeah.
And
I
in
agree.
it, and I have a sample scoping document that I can share if I haven't already done so, I can't recall, so that this becomes very easy for the local governments. It's just a matter of identifying, a few partners, maybe volunteers who participate in this, identifying what kind of role the local government plays. And as you've already heard from Corina is going to be an amazing resource, making all of this a much easier job for any municipality. So I'm happy, Eleanor and I are happy to have a further conversation on this and make sure that we link up really well with Joe and with Corina so that we make this as effortless and as easy for your communities that want to participate.
Yeah, that's a great point, Carla, about the scoping document. It really, an application does sound even more complicated than it is. It's 2 pages, I believe, and it's basically fill in the blank. You don't have to write out a narrative of, everything you're basically just putting in the name of your town and, a few other details like that. It's not a big deal. But we can even fill in some of the blanks for you, as Carla suggested, with a template. And in fact, Ampian does the same thing. You've got a team, you've got an army of people here to help you. It's really awesome. I'm really excited to, we are like ready to go on this. And I think we can really help you make it happen quickly. So We're getting close to 8 o'clock, and I did want to, try to wrap up thereabouts. But there's one more important element to tonight's presentation, and that is another community campaign option, which is the Clean Heating and Cooling campaign. And I met Bonnie, I'm going to say it was 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Yeah, about a year and a half ago, when she was just starting out with the Putnam Clean Heating and Cooling campaign, or at least starting to promote it, and looking for volunteers to help her find good contractors, exactly what we just did with Community Solar and Ampion and others. And anyway, she's been running this program. She started it in Phillipstown and has been working her way east across our county. And now it's really available throughout our county. And the Clean Heating and Cooling campaign is really all about, as I mentioned earlier, weatherization, air sealing and insulating your home, and altering your HVAC system, your heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, so that it's not using fossil fuels, which basically means electric heat pumps, either air source, like an air conditioner is an air source heat pump essentially, or ground source, which you could call geothermal, but it's not like tapping steam down below the Earth's surface. It's basically just getting at the warmer Earth that's always 55 degrees in our area, a few feet down, and using that energy with a heat pump to heat and cool your home. It creates fantastic savings. It's incredibly efficient. It's more efficient than any, natural gas or oil or electric heat system you can use. I have it in my home. Got it about a year and a half ago, and my electric bills have dropped. I have all electric heat, and they have dropped as a result. Anyway, just like our community solar campaign, Putnam Clean Heating and Cooling has vetted contractors, and they have one for insulating and weatherizing your home. And by coincidence, it happens to be the same company that I used about 5 years ago on my house. They insulated and sealed my home. They did a great job, Healthy Homes, and another vendor for HVAC systems, and that's Bell Heating and Cooling right here in Mahopac. Anyway, what I want to say is, before I introduce Bonnie finally, is and let her speak, is that you could actually combine the community solar campaign with the clean heating and cooling campaign if you so choose. Carla's giving 2 thumbs up on that proposition. The advantage is that although you still have to send in 2 scoping documents, which again, not a big deal, you essentially could run the same campaign. You could do 1 launch event and promote both, or you could do 1 press release promoting both, and you get double the points and double the grant money if you're successful. And the bar for success with the clean heating and cooling program is this big, really. Can you see that? It's really small. 3 people. I believe it's, if you get 3 people to participate. Am I right, Carla?
That's almost right. You're about halfway right. So it's
okay.
Still the total of 10 participants, but only 3 of them have to install ground or air source heat pumps. And
Gotcha.
then the balance, the 7, the rest of the folks can do energy efficiency.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I want to introduce Bonnie so you can connect the name and face. And Bonnie, I don't see you on my screen, but are you there? There you are.
I'm here. I'm here.
Unmute and.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to thank you, Joe and Carla, for this great explanation of the program. It's awesome. And Joe, I want to thank you so much for inviting me to speak. It's a pleasure to see and meet all of you. I am Bonnie Hagan, the campaign director for the Putnam County Clean Heating and Cooling Community Campaign. And it is with financial support from NYSERDA. And Joe, it was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago when we first met early on, and we were looking for volunteers and looking for vendors to work with and support. I want to share with everybody that our Putnam County Clean Heating and Cooling Community Campaign is organized by a team of local organizations to bring the awareness of clean heating and cooling technology to the county. And as you know, we've partnered with some phenomenal organizations, including Sustainable Putnam and the Hudson Valley Regional Council, to provide this education and encourage the adoption of energy efficiency and weatherization measures, like Joe mentioned before, air source heat pumps and ground source heat pumps for homes and businesses in Putnam County. So not only to heat and cool their spaces more efficiently, but also be more comfortable within your spaces all year round, no matter what the weather is outside. NYSEG, the NYSEG and Central Hudson utilities are also very active in this campaign, managing and providing the financial rebates available to Putnam County homeowners and business owners who upgrade to this clean heating and cooling technology. Completion of a clean heating and cooling community campaign by municipality, like Carla and Joe said before, can also result in access to action grants from the NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities Program Leadership Round. And I know Clean Energy Communities Program is like a big mouthful. I always say CEC for short. So I encourage you to consider incorporating a clean heating and cooling campaign, community campaign, in addition to the Solarize campaign, like Joe said before, twice as nice, as part of your CEC designation efforts. I'm here as a resource to you to help you do just that. And if you want to learn more details about the program, you can visit our website or reach out to me directly. I'm going to put my contact information in the chat right after I speak. And I just want to thank you again, Joe, for having me on this Zoom today. So I have a chance to share this information with you.
Great, thank you, Bonnie. Yeah, and in fact, I'm gonna provide a follow-up email with everybody's contact info, everybody on our kind of panel, I guess you'd say, and a recording of the presentation and the slide deck and links to NYSERDA resources. And then, we can go from there. There's, I don't want to overload people with resources and links and such. But we'll get you started. And then, if you decide to move forward, you'll be able to contact Bonnie, me, Carla, Eleanor, and Karina, right? Or all of us. And we'll move things forward. So, I do want to mention that I'm doing the same presentation Thursday night. So if you have colleagues, if you're interested, please let them know. You can, email me, or if you still have the document I sent you in an email, that has a link to the Thursday night presentation. Yeah, it would be, good to kind of get them on board on Thursday night, so they don't have to sit and watch a recorded version. They can ask their own questions. That's essentially it. And I'll, we'll just see if there's any remaining questions before we say goodnight. I want to thank Karina for being here, Bonnie, Carla, Eleanor. Thank you so much. Pete, thanks for co-hosting. And yeah, any other questions? We did a great job.
So I'll ask one to Bonnie. At one point, there were subsidies that meant that homeowners could be evaluated for both the, the insulating and home work and for heat pumps. Would homeowners have to pay for that evaluation? Because that seems like a very good way to get people in the door.
Yeah, that I've seen those. I've seen that provided by NYSERDA, and it goes in and out, and at different periods of times and at different places. I've seen that. At the moment, I don't know that there is. I would recommend, if you're interested in that, if you sign up on our website, we would have someone from Healthy Homes contact you and go over with you what the expenses would be and if there would be a subsidy included in that.
Are you talking about the audit, Ina?
for the
Well-
weather and the weatherization, right?
Yeah, it's just that, it's kind of a hard sell, but the thing that's the most important is to get a vendor really into the home and have them do the evaluation, because once people sort of can picture it all and see what it'll cost and what it'll save, it makes it much more likely that they will do it, and it makes much more sense. But if people have to pay for that, then that's another stumbling block.
Yeah.
Did that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. The audit serves a couple of different functions. It's not only to guide you in what kind of HVAC system to get, or it's also to give you a baseline. An energy audit covers all energy systems in the home, whether it's HVAC or lighting or plug load, insulation, windows, that sort of thing. So it's good to know, to have a baseline as to how well you're performing in terms of energy efficiency. Some people just use their energy bill as their baseline. Not as thorough, because it doesn't get broken out into how much of the energy bill is used for each one of those energy systems. But people will see that if they change something, they could see the bill go down. It's not as finely tuned, but and there are there's a lot of subsidy from NYSERDA to implement these clean heating and cooling technologies. But it's worth the phone call to at least speak to someone who, at Healthy Home, to talk about all the benefits. And usually having that knowledge and understanding what you need to do pays for itself. You see that money come back to you in terms of energy savings and comfort, because it's a guidance document. I understand upfront it might be cost prohibitive, but if you look at the life cycle of what you're doing in terms of energy efficiency, it's usually cheaper in the long run to have that knowledge than to not have it. So it's worth the conversation.
I agree.
Well, what would that inspection or review of your homes, what would something like that cost? Rough.
Mine was free. It was quite a few years ago now. And Bonnie, I think they might have reinstituted it. I think the free audit. I might be wrong about that, but I thought that they had.
I think it's for certain income. I could be wrong, but I think it's for certain income levels. And I don't want to say it's free without.
Sure.
Every situation is different. That's why it's worth having the conversation.
Yeah. But it's so comprehensive. Assuming that they're doing the blower door test again, which they weren't during COVID, and they weren't doing the audits actually during, lockdown and all, for obvious reasons. But they gave me a full color pamphlet that showed infrared photos of like every window and, corner of my ceiling, and, with the different colors indicate the temperature of that. And I was blown away. I knew my home wasn't terribly comfortable before they did the audit and the work, but I couldn't believe like how much more comfortable it was afterwards. Areas of my home that were drafty that we could never really, sit comfortably without a sweater or a blanket over our shoulders. It sounds like I lived in a barn. I don't. But they just sealed it up so well. It's been an incredible difference. So much more comfortable. And they gave me an estimate of, what it would cost, and I had them break it down, and they were happy to do that into, the insulating work, the air sealing work, and so forth. So I could choose, which projects I wanted to do and which ones I didn't want to do. And I happen to use Healthy Homes. It's just a coincidence. They're not paying me to say this.
No, but we evaluated a bunch of vendors
Yeah.
and they were the best, and
They-
same with Bell, and we just want to bring you the best.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
funny coincidence, I didn't know that anyone was going to be mentioning Healthy Home, but I have a very good friend who works for them doing the home energy audits.
Oh,
So
if-
they're,
oh, sorry.
just, are they local?
yeah.
Healthy Homes?
They have a building in Yorktown Heights on 118.
Okay,
And I think their headquarters, their main office is in, I think Briarcliff Manor. I'm not sure.
that's
Fine.
local.
Yeah, I would recommend that you go through the Putnam campaign, the Putnam Clean Heating and Cooling campaign, rather than contacting them directly. There's volume discounts because it's a community purchasing program.
Which campaign?
The Putnam County Clean Heating and Cooling campaign. I put the link in the chat, and Joe's gonna send out the information.
Okay.
Because the vendors that we use, when they get information through the campaign, it's a different price than if it's not through the campaign.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Theoretically, we could set up our own group discount through Putnam Valley too, through the town.
I suppose you could, but if you do it through the campaign, you also have the added benefit of getting those points for the clean energy community designation. Right?
But I'm sorry, doing it through the county campaign.
You could do it through, yes, it's because through the county, it's a formal community campaign. The Putnam County Clean Heating and Cooling Community is a formal community campaign.
But the county gets points and the town gets points. Is that right?
Yes.
Carla, could you, yeah?
Yes, and I'd like to go back to something that you mentioned, Ina, earlier about getting these contractors in people's homes to get them interested, and that's what I see so much about the value that Joe is proposing, where you do two campaigns at the same time. You're sitting at the same table. You can offer one or the other and both to people, and it's their choice. They get to learn about both. Some people may want to do both. They'll still want to do the community solar. And the way I see it is nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? So if people don't hear about it, they'll never know they actually had that opportunity. So I really hope that folks will consider doing two campaigns at the same time, because they can literally be done at the same time, and you get potential action grants through the CEC program. And so just food for thought.
All right. Well, obviously this is not the end of the conversation. There's we're all available to you, and I will send out that email tomorrow with the recording, the slide deck, the contact info, and so forth, and the links to NYSERDA and so forth. So I want to thank everybody once more for your participation on both sides of the screen
This
here.
was a terrific meeting. Thank you very much,
Oh,
Joe.
thank you, Ina. Thanks for coming. And
Thank you for doing
yeah,
this, Joe.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to being in touch with everybody.
Thanks. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a good night,
Okay,
everyone.
bye-bye.
Thanks, Joe.
I'm going to hang out if anybody has more questions, but I'm going to stop recording at this point.
So Joe, I'm going to be